Or Owens Corning R38 fiberglass insulation, only $23.77 per package. And check out Parr's complete line of Senco air-powered tools. Senco air-powered tools and fasteners will make your jobs go faster and easier. Senco from Parr Lumber, where the builders go.
The gang police say is behind the wrong turn murder on the next hard copy.
After months of arguments, the O.J. Simpson trial is just about over.
We proved that he killed the two people, and they proved that Furman is a racist.
Before the case goes to the jury, a final word from attorneys for the people.
The evidence is there. You just have to find your way through the smoke.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting tonight from Boston.
Good evening. The defense tried to fire them up, and today lawyers for the people tried to calm them down. The jurors who will decide whether O.J. Simpson is guilty of the brutal murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. Jury deliberations begin Monday. Today, the prosecution closed its arguments. Marcia Clark had the final say. Our coverage begins with Bill Whitaker in Los Angeles. Bill?
Dan, Marcia Clark wrapped up the prosecution closing arguments by playing for the jury one last time those anguished 911 calls made by Nicole Brown Simpson. Earlier, her partner, Christopher Darden, took on Johnny Cochran and tried to shift the focus off the police and put it back on O.J. Simpson.
Ask yourselves this when you're in the jury room.
Christopher Darden played temperate teacher to Johnny Cochran's passionate preacher, turning down the heat raised yesterday to a fevered pitch. And he called on the jury to deliberate not with passion, but reason.
Take that common sense God gave you, go back in the jury room. Don't let these people get you all riled up and all fired up because Furman is a racist. Racism blinds you.
He played 52 pickup, trying to restack the deck of race cards Cochran tossed around court yesterday. The sins of a racist like ex-detective Mark Furman, he suggested, don't wipe out the sins of O.J. Simpson.
Someone said, why did you acquit him? Would you say racism? Would you say it's because there's racism in the LAPD? It is true that Furman is racist. And it is also true that he killed these two people.
Cochran had quoted the Bible to the mostly black jury. Darden invoked the Constitution. It granted life and liberty to Ron Goldman and Nicole Simpson, he said, and O.J. Simpson.
It said he doesn't have the right to take those lives. He did not have the right to do what he did.
He said he refused to do like the defense and call his opponents liars, then proceeded to do just about that. What happened, he asked, to that bulging bag of luggage Simpson gave to his friends when he got back from Chicago, but which the defense brought to court empty?
This is the evidence. This bag is empty. There's nothing in this bag. There's nothing in this bag. Why bring this empty bag here to court to you?
And he asked, isn't it too convenient? The defense claims Simpson cut his hand on his cell phone and again in Chicago, his left hand.
That's the same hand that was left exposed in the commission of those murders because Ron Goldman pulled that glove off his hand.
Then for the final word to these jurors, Marcia Clark came back to try to tie up threads unraveled by the defense. She ridiculed their experts, their theories, their timeline.
That all of these arguments about the minutia make no sense when you look at the big picture.
Like those numerous DNA tests tying blood from the murder scene to Simpson. The defense says all the dozens of test swatches were contaminated and therefore can't be trusted.
All of the swatches for all of the drops completely degrading to the point where they're able to pick up contamination. It makes no sense. It's completely illogical. It stands science on its head.
And those much disputed socks in Simpson's bedroom.
There was no blood on the socks. That's what they're saying, right? Why would you plant a blank pair of socks and then go back 2 months later and say, I forgot I was supposed to plant blood on them. What have I been thinking? I got to go back and put the blood there. Does that make any sense to you at all? I mean, there's no logic to this. This defies common sense. You have to buy that story or else the defendant is guilty.
Tonight, Judge Ito gave the jury their final instructions and sent them off to pick a foreperson, which they did in about 3 minutes. The jury begins actual deliberations Monday morning. Dan?
Bill Whitaker in Los Angeles, helping again to guide us through the Simpson trial. Former prosecutor, now law school professor Laurie Levinson, who joins us from Los Angeles. Laurie, was the prosecution able to come back after the dramatic argument by Johnny Cochran yesterday?
Frankly, I think Chris Darden gave a great closing argument. He came up to this jury. He was so sincere. He was so himself, and he said, no one is above the law. O.J. Simpson isn't above the law. I'm African American. I believe in the case, and you should too. And that's the message that the jurors need to hear. Now Marsha Clark is going through the physical evidence, and she is addressing that conspiracy theory and basically making fun of it and saying there is no way it could happen.
Well, how about Marsha Clark? Judge Ito allowed the defense to interrupt her seemingly every minute. Were they right to object, or was this trying to throw her off stride?
Oh, this was all strategy by the defense. They just wanted to stop the train, and that's stopping Marsha Clark. It's hard to do. So they kept popping up to object, and Judge Ito has been so patient through all the trial, they knew that they could get away with it. And by and large, they have. And it's basically thrown her off her process.
Laurie, as it goes to the jury, is this a race case or a science case?
You know, that's the toughest question for anyone. Frankly, I think it's both. Johnny Cochran yesterday made it a race case, and Chris Darden acknowledged that's an issue, but it is not the overwhelming issue here. And they're trying to make it an evidence case again. That's what Marsha Clark's saying. Go back to the transcripts, go back to the evidence. But for this jury, depending on what the jurors want to do, it may be both.
Laurie Levinson in Los Angeles, thanks. Emotions have been running high all week long in and around Judge Ito's courtroom. Watching it all, Vanity Fair writer and CBS News consultant Dominic Dunn, who shares his unique perspective with us each week as our expert witness.
By far, the most dramatic thing that has happened during this past week was the closing argument of Johnny Cochran. It was a mesmerizing theatrical event. But he went so far yesterday into other realms, and the introduction of racism.
Who then polices the police? You police the police. You police them by your verdict.
It was interesting watching the jury during it. There were moments when I thought I detected some skepticism, but yet at the same time they were mesmerized, as was everyone else in the courtroom.
They want you to throw your common sense out the window.
Chris Darden has done an extraordinary job. He has brought the trial back to what it is all about, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman.
And the Constitution said that Ron and Nicole had the right to liberty. It said that they had the right to life.
One of the other extraordinary things of the trial is that even today, in the last day of final arguments, there is a coziness between the Brown family and the Simpson family in the corridor outside the courtroom. On the other hand, neither family seems very close at this moment to the Goldman family.
Dominic Dunn. Veteran Los Angeles Police Detective Phil Van Adder, attacked directly and personally by Johnny Cochran yesterday as a, quote, demon of evil, responded today. Van Adder told CBS News in a quote, Cochran's comment was outrageous. In all my years in the department, I've never seen anything like it, unquote. We'll take a closer look at the racial passions the Simpson case has ignited later in this broadcast. The CBS Evening News will continue in a moment from Boston as we visit our CBS affiliate here, WBZ TV, Channel 4. Still ahead, Boston says goodbye to the Garden, where legends linger.
Arthritis pain, it's a part of my life. That's why I keep Advil close by. It's gentler on my stomach than aspirin. Just one works as well as 2 regular Tylenol. And give me Advil any day over a leave. With that, if your pain comes back, it could be hours before you can take more. I don't have that long wait with Advil.
Advil works at the site of minor arthritis pain, stopping it where it starts.
Nothing's proven to work better or last longer than Advil. Nothing.
Advanced medicine for pain.
Fibercon or Metamucil? Both give you the same predictable regularity, the same natural action of fiber. So what makes Fibercon different? With Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets. Fibercon, fiber regularity that's easier to take.
It's not fair. While we're doing our business out there, she's in her scoop away. The litter that clumps where she wets. They scoop away the clumps. She's got a box that's day one clean. Me, I got a dog's life.
Scoop Away, the litter that's day one clean every day.
No getting around it. Racial tensions are a fact of life in this country. Whether you're here in Boston or in Los Angeles, where Simpson attorney Johnny Cochran has been accused of both exacerbating those tensions and exploiting them. Correspondent Jerry Bowen has more tonight about race and the Simpson case.
You could hear it in the voices, see it in the signs. The trial of the century turned trial of the system. And everyone talking, it seemed, except Johnny Cochran, the man who played the volatile pair, the race card and the wild card.
What about the Hitler comparison, Johnny?
He's got the guts to say that Furman is a Hitler. He's a racist, but now he's not a Hitler.
From the Jewish Fairfax district to black neighborhoods in South Central, the debate shifted from O.J. and justice to suffering, and which people have suffered more.
We have had 400 years of a Holocaust, but our Holocaust has not been at the hands of Adolf Hitler. It has been at the hands of Adolf Furman and his type.
Johnny Cochran implied that 6 million Jews would not have died in vain if O.J. Simpson is acquitted, when in fact, one Jewish lad has indeed died in vain, and his name is Ronald L. Goldman.
The KCLH O.J. Simpson hotline number is 310.
But criticism of Cochran did not play well on Black Talk Radio.
They don't want Cochran to even defend this man.
White people in this country just need to grow up. This is not Burger King. They can't have it their way every day anymore.
At graduation ceremonies for L.A.'s newest cops, Chief Willie Williams blasted Cochran and company for caring more about their client than the community.
Their actions are deliberately making an attempt to raise fears among all walks of life in this community.
Veteran cops were incensed, too.
Talk is cheap, and the reason why he's a defense attorney is because he's not good enough to be a police officer.
Johnny Cochran, make no mistake about it, does not speak for black people across America, and not even black people in Los Angeles.
But Cochran does speak to the black experience of life in America, words that obviously resonate with many African Americans, but have yet to register with most whites. It is a gulf between black and white America that seems to have widened with the trial of the century. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
You may remember the story of Johnny Lee Wilson, a retarded man who pleaded guilty to murdering an old woman in Missouri. He was sentenced to life in prison. But today, Wilson was pardoned by the governor and released. It turned out police had manipulated him into confessing and ignored evidence that another man had done the crime. Johnny Lee Wilson is 30 years old and free tonight after 8 years in prison. Straight ahead, new Medicare proposals fuel the fight on Capitol Hill. And California Governor Pete Wilson, a flame-out, drop-out, wipe-out from the Republican presidential campaign.
Ooh, okay, it's a little, whoa.
So what's wrong with short? He's short. I like short. When you're working for a special look.
Hey, it's our anniversary.
Oh, why not? Part of getting that look should include Kellogg's Special K.
Big boy, he can take it.
Great toasted taste, just 110 calories and fat-free. Kellogg's Special K. Great taste never looks so good.
It's funny. Lasagna, sausage, and a spicy meatball.
But you know I can't eat this. I'll be up all night with heartburn.
Your appetizer.
New Pepcid AC acid controller.
This one little pill can stop heartburn before it starts. Just take this one now before dinner. It'll prevent heartburn all night long.
Bless you.
Pepcid, now available in non-prescription strength.
I think it needs a little more spice.
You can be heartburn-free with new Pepcid AC.
If you've been drinking Ensure, there's a little something you should know. Sostical has more protein, less fat, and about twice as much calcium. No, Sostical can't add years to your life, but it might help add life to your years.
While we watch the O.J. Simpson trial, our kids are watching us.
What are they learning about our values?
Plus, not many people can compose a symphony.
But imagine doing it before you're old enough to drive. How old were you when you wrote your first time?
Oh, about 6 or 7.
Child prodigies.
Monday on CBS This Morning.
In the presidential campaign today, Governor Pete Wilson is out. The California Republican is running out of money and running flat in the polls. By some accounts, this Wilson wipeout may make it easier for President Clinton to catch the wave in California, probably a must-win state for re-election. Linda Douglas has the end of the Wilson for President drive.
Just a month ago, California Governor Pete Wilson announced he was running for president for the 6th time in this political season. He described his candidacy in grand terms.
Because I am the Republican whom this Clinton White House fears the most.
But by then, Republicans had already written him off. Today, out of money and options, Wilson told home state supporters it was time to give up.
And as much as your hearts and mine tell me to fight on, my conscience tells me that to do so would be unfair to all of us.
After a come-from-behind re-election last fall, Governor Wilson was a hot presidential prospect. He seemed to have a gift for tapping into voter anger, railing against affirmative action and immigration. But conservatives didn't trust Wilson because he switched his positions on those issues. Meanwhile, Californians turned against him, furious that he'd broken his promise not to run for president. Now some think he would even be a liability in the number 2 spot on the ticket.
The reason you would take Wilson as a vice presidential pick is presumably that he helps you carry California. But his numbers in California are now worse than those of most other Republicans.
Today, Wilson quoted General MacArthur, who said old soldiers don't die, they just fade away. A good line, he said, but not for him.
This old Marine ain't about to just fade away.
Republican presidential frontrunner Bob Dole said today, Wilson's withdrawal is a big boost to his campaign. It may now allow him to raise money in California from big givers who've been sitting on the sidelines, not wanting to offend their governor. Linda Douglas, CBS News, Washington.
CIA Director John Deutsch today announced the firing of 2 high-ranking CIA officials and disciplinary action against 9 others. This follows an investigation into alleged CIA connections to human rights violations in Guatemala. But Deutsch said he found no evidence of CIA involvement in the murder of a U.S. citizen in Guatemala or the disappearance of the husband of a U.S. lawyer. The U.S. military today handed over 3 U.S. servicemen to Japanese authorities to face trial for rape. The 3 are accused of abducting and assaulting a 12-year-old Japanese girl near the U.S. military base on Okinawa. They could get life in prison. In South Korea today, a flashback to the days of political street warfare. 10,000 students battled riot police in Seoul and other cities. They're protesting a government decision not to prosecute 2 former military rulers for a crackdown that killed hundreds of Korean student protesters in 1980.
I'm glad you made it to the reunion.
Oh, I can't believe it's been 20 years. Oh, you okay? I could use some Tylenol. Here. Oh, ibuprofen? No, I can't. I had an ulcer. Really? My husband had an ulcer. Oh, he should be careful. My doctor says ibuprofen can aggravate an ulcer. But Tylenol just works great.
If you take ibuprofen, there are many reasons why Tylenol may be safer for you.
20 years later, you've still given me the answers.
Are you ever going to listen?
Hong Kong. It's part of an exciting new world that's growing so fast you never know where it's going to grow next. So with our worldwide reputation for meeting the toughest deadlines, we at Caterpillar aren't surprised to find ourselves involved in the world's largest construction project, Hong Kong's new airport. In the only place Hong Kong had room for it, the South China Sea. Traces of crimson on your toothbrush. Bleeding gums.
It's caused by germs. Listerine kills them. It helps prevent the gum disease, gingivitis.
Kill the germs. Spare your gums.
Listerine, the power of prevention.
There's so much new going on at Red Lobster.
With 15 dinners under $10 and our new Ultimate Trio for $8.99. Lobster and shrimp pasta, mahi-mahi, and fried shrimp. Just $8.99 for a short time.
So hurry into Red Lobster.
Ma, if you have trouble sleeping, take a Unisom. It helped last time, didn't it? Didn't you feel better after a good night's sleep? It's okay. The doctor said it's not habit forming. That's right. Unisom. Ma, there's nothing wrong with helping yourself get a good night's sleep. All right? I love you too.
The show tracks Buddy McGirt's pursuit of his third world championship, plus all the news that flashes coast to coast in college football, Saturday on CBS.
Suppose you're a doctor or a patient and you're about to join an HMO. Suppose you're not really sure what it means to join an HMO. Suppose you watch 60 Minutes Sunday. In Washington, a surprise defeat today for the House Republican leadership's $243 billion defense budget. The vote to reject it wasn't even close. Democrats voted no, saying $243 billion is too much for defense in the post-communism tight times. They were joined by some Republicans who were angered by anti-abortion provisions tacked on that they considered too weak. In the deeply divisive battle in Congress over how to overhaul Medicare, the neutral Congressional Budget Office weighed in today with its analysis and number crunching of the new Republican proposals. But that seemed to have no big impact on the partisan political rumble, as Chief Washington Correspondent Bob Schieffer reports.
Democrats have been organizing daily protests at the Capitol as they try to turn public opinion against the Republican plan to overhaul Medicare and Medicaid. This group called the plan a Trojan horse.
What is inside the horse? We want to know what you got to offer. What is inside the horse? Let's see what's in the horse.
Such are the ways of modern politics that Republicans countered with a live ostrich, which symbolized, they said, the Democrats' head-in-the-sand approach on health issues.
Any questions for the ostrich?
Silliness aside, the Republican overhaul effort got a real boost as a nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office study confirmed what Republicans have been claiming. Their reforms will save the government a bundle.
We have done what we said we would do.
The CBO analysis confirms that our plan indeed does accomplish the $270 billion in savings we said it would.
But Senate Democrats just don't believe it and say Republican plans dump too much responsibility on the states.
We might as well just throw the money up in the air and hope it falls down and does good.
Both sides will take the fight to their constituents during next week's congressional recess, but expect a battle royal after that. These could be the cutting issues of next year's presidential campaign, and that guarantees Congress will fight over them for the rest of this year. Bob Schieffer, CBS News at the Capitol. The U.S. government reports sales of new homes fell 9.6% in August. Analysts say that's not as bad as it sounds because new home sales the previous month were the highest since the end of 1993.
It's a great time to be silver because you're over 50 and you haven't lost your edge. Now there's a Centrum made just for you. Centrum Silver for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
I'm 62. Can I still help prevent osteoporosis?
It's never too late for Caltrate. Caltrate Plus has the extra calcium you need, plus 6 nutrients essential for healthy bones, whatever your age.
It's never too late for Caltrate.
Something wonderful is here to tempt you at breakfast. Kellogg's Honey Roasted Pecan Temptations cereal. Roasted pecans, luscious golden honey, crisp, crunchy oven-baked flakes of corn. Kellogg's Temptation cereal. Irresistibly delicious honey roasted pecans. And low-fat French vanilla almond too.
The lights were out. John's sound asleep. And what am I doing? I'm hurting. I can't sleep, and I've got to work tomorrow. But I wasn't so sure about taking something, about how I'd feel in the morning. I went ahead and took Tylenol PM. It was the right choice. It stops my pain. It helps me sleep. So when morning comes, I'm ready to go. Right on time. All rested and feeling great. Come on, honey.
Rest easy. It's Tylenol PM. Now also available in easy-to-swallow gel tabs.
If heartburn shows up when you lie down, it may not be just heartburn. It may be something different. Doctors call it acid reflux, and you need something different. You need regular Gaviscon. Only Gaviscon forms a protective barrier that helps keep stomach acid down, where it belongs. Mylanta can't. Regular Maalox can't. Gaviscon is the only medicine you can buy without a prescription that can. So to help stop reflux pain from acting up when you lie down, get Gaviscon. It's different from here all the way to here.
We're in Boston tonight to praise a condemned building in a city of great architecture. It is one of the plainest, ugliest buildings around. It has rats the size of cats and no air conditioning. No one denies that in many ways it's a dump. But the Boston Garden is also a treasure of American memories. We came back to say goodbye to the Garden for tonight's Eye on America.
Greer putting the ball on a play. He gets it out deep, and Havlicek steals it over the stand zone. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over.
The great moments at the Boston Garden were always like that. The home team right on the edge of defeat.
Behind the net to Sanderson. Orr! Artie Orr! Scores, and the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
67 years of great moments. 67 years of abuse. The Garden is showing its age. Still, the athletes and the fans are having a tough time letting go. So are the legends.
I just as soon put up with the inconvenience and the rats that were getting bigger than the customers, and for another 20 years, or at least until they put me into the pine box.
Bob Cousy's dazzling work on the Garden's famous parquet floor gave rise to one of the most persistent legends in basketball. Dead spots in the floor, opponents believed, gave the Celtics an edge.
That's what they were thinking. And as long as they thought that way, we had a competitive edge. So we'd encourage it.
Coach Red Auerbach built a Celtics dynasty. More championships than any other team in the game.
This was home, and no one steps on this court and beats us here without a fight.
In the early years, the Celtics sometimes played a double bill with the circus. Fans here still remember the time a bunch of monkeys escaped and lived up there high in the rafters for 2 years, coming down to eat peanuts left over after the game. Over the years, there were boxers and ski jumpers, presidents and prime ministers. John F. Kennedy sought the home team advantage here on Election Eve, 1960. The new Fleet Center is replacing all that history with the kind of modern comforts sports fans in other cities have come to expect. Long lines at the fried dough booth will soon give way to gourmet dining for the skybox set.
Did you find a new presentation for the lobster? Yeah.
But the fans insist they'll miss the old Garden plenty, even if the cheap seats sometimes include a steel beam front and center. When the Bruins played their last game in the Garden this week, the fans were there.
Hi, Bob.
And so were the great stars of the past. Bobby Orr's old number will come down from the Garden rafters.
When it comes down, it's going to be sad, but I do believe that the new building will be fine.
The great moments remain, from Bill Russell to Larry Bird, Esposito and Orr. Memories no wrecking ball can touch. Cousy, Russell, Bird, Bobby Orr, Barnum and Bailey, Sinatra and the Beatles. They all played the Garden. And that's part of our world tonight. Stay with this CBS station for the latest on the Simpson trial, including the verdict, when and if there is one. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather, reporting tonight from Boston. Have a great weekend. Good night.